Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Lester Batres Jr., who will fight on Fury FC 103, March 23rd. Hello, Lester. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. And your next fight, I think that it will be quite interesting one because I think that as the pro, like level of competition is still improving for you. So if you can tell me, what do you think about your current opponent, so Brett Pastore?
Um, I think that he's a good opponent. I'm sure that he's very tough. I mean, to me in my head, I believe I'm better than him everywhere. Uh, but yeah, he's been around. He's had quite a few fights. He's been in the scene for a long time. So yeah, I'm just ready to go and put on a show and prove to the world that I belong on the big stage.
And did you have a chance to watch any of his fights or at least like highlights?
Yeah, I've studied his film already for sure.
And like with your previous opponents, do you always like doing this kind of things like you are watching and analyzing styles of your opponents?
Of course, I mean at this level, as a pro, there's always going to be, for the most part, there's always going to be some film that I can watch, and it's just important, to study the film so that I can at least see some tendencies and have some things to plan for. Of course, you're in there and it's chaotic, things happen, but there is certain things that are muscle memory and that you can hopefully play off of and set traps off. So of course, we usually always will watch film on our opponent, kind of see what we see, make adjustments, and then but from there, of course, we're ready for anything.
And actually, your last two fights were like the decision wins. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that for you it also it's kind of beneficial that you are not finishing opponents like in 1 minute, but you can get this kind of experience to feel what it's like to be in the second or the third round.
Yeah, it was honestly a great experience. Just knowing, just having it in the back of my head, knowing that I can do the 15 minutes, and if you did see those fights, I mean, we were going pretty hard for those 15 minutes in both fights. It was a fast paced, and honestly, I felt good. I felt like I could still go another 2 rounds and be okay. I think that honestly, if it had the fourth, fifth round, I think I would have finished those fights. Um, but yeah, those guys they did a good job at staying safe and staying protected and managing to make it through. Um, but yeah, this time I don't plan on doing that. I plan on finishing my opponent. Um, I feel like at this point, that's just what I got to do. That's the job.
And actually, you are quite, let's say, famous for your finishing style, and even your fight. It was, I believe, the second pro fight against Foster. It was like 14 or 15 second round seconds, like submission armbar, and I think that it was actually one of the best submissions last year.
Yeah, that submission definitely did blow up for a while. It was just one of those. I mean, if you saw it, I couldn't plan for that. The dude just charged at me and did like a freaking Liu Kang flying sidekick, and I just responded with I don't know. I responded correctly, and it led to that. So yeah, it was fun. But then these last two fights were 15 minutes. So, but I'm glad because if you saw the first two fights were like within a minute finish, and I was actually like wanting more. I wanted to fight a little longer. So then I got what I wanted the next two. But now I'm ready to go ahead and start finishing my opponents again.
And of course, so you are for now fighting for the Fury FC, which I think that we can say that it's like best regional promotion. But do you think about like challenging for the title in maybe one or two next fights?
Yeah, if I'm still here in the local scene for that long, then yeah, of course, that is definitely what the next step would be if I keep winning the next two. But to be honest with you, I plan on finishing this. I plan on finishing this fight and in a spectacular fashion, so that I punch my ticket into the contender series. But if not, then I'll probably have to do one more and same thing, finish that fight, and then that'll hopefully give me the call. But that's my plan. To be honest with you, is really I'd rather fight on a world stage I love Fury. Love Fury, man. They do they have taken care of me, and they're probably the greatest organization outside of like the bigger ones like UFC and One. But for a local scene, I love Fury. Everybody should come to Fury. They're like one of the biggest feeders to the UFC. But I'm about ready to move on to the next level and test myself.
You see your future in lightweight or welterweight division?
To be honest with you, I see it in lightweight. I don't. Of course, if I do for some reason end up getting like a growth spurt, then maybe 170. But to be honest with you, 155 is gonna be my weight class. I believe. Just kind of hang out here, fill out, and go for that title.
But of course, it's good when you have a little bit like experience in second weight class because even like the short notice opportunity will appear. You know that you can take it. Like it can be like one weight above, and you still can have like great results.
Exactly. I have actually fought at 170. I've done 9 fights at 170. Actually, wait. I've done actually about 10 fights at 170. Just because I had competed in the IMMAF, and so those were like 3 days, 3 fights, 3 days in a row. So there was no way I'm making 155 3 times. But yeah, it definitely like let me know like I'm not, not capable of that. I'm capable of going 170, 155. I haven't done a 145 cut, and to be honest with you, I am not trying to do that. So I'm thinking 155 and 170 are gonna be my two weight classes right there.
And about your beginnings in this sport, because of course your father was a pro MMA fighter, and how big motivation was that you can like watch his fights, or at least like later on like highlights of his fights, or even like training.
To be honest with you, that's probably the biggest reason why I'm here today. Ever since I was a kid, I've grown up watching him work hard and sacrifice and I mean for him he was raising a family and working and doing everything that he could while also fighting. So I think that just it was kind of always in the back of my head. Uh, yeah, and I don't even think I knew it because whenever I was growing up, I wasn't like necessarily thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna be a fighter. I was actually, just enjoying myself, doing sports, being a kid. But it was always there in the back of my mind, and so now that I decided to like pursue this, it's just something that I know is in my blood. And even and occasionally, I'll go back and I watch his fights or I watch his interviews, and it just kind of just like almost like reassures me of like my lineage, and like of where I've come from. So yeah, I mean, it's a big part of who I am for sure.
I think that it's quite a rare thing that especially that the sport is quite young for now, but that the father was the fighter, and right now the like second generation is like also fighting, but probably in next few years we can see a little bit like more examples of this situation.
Oh yeah, here in the next couple, like man, nowadays it's gonna start turning into a normal thing where I guarantee you, like in the next 10 years, the people that are in the UFC are gonna almost all of them gonna be people who have either been doing this since a kid or have been the son of someone who was doing it. Just because like those kids have a head start. I mean, some people they start at 15, some people start at 20 something, and then these kids have been seeing doing it since they were born, right out of from birth, just being, their dad grabbing their fist and punching them. You know what I mean? Like it's just those that's gonna be the next generation, and I'm a teacher now. I'm a professor here at the gym, and I see these kids starting from a young age, and just like the difference between those and the ones who started later is just it's a gap there because of the subconscious. But yeah, I think that that's gonna be the future of the sport is the kids that are the sons and the daughters of the ones that came before.
And right now you are a coach in Renzo Gracie Lake Houston.
Yes, sir. Right here in Summerwood area in Houston, Texas. Yeah, Renzo Gracie Lake Houston. We're starting to make some waves. We're getting like three or four. teammates that are starting to fight. And actually, I have my teammate that I'm also headlining the card on. His name's Colton England. He's one of my teammates that we train together. We have actually, ever since I started, as soon as I graduated high school, from 16, 17, 16, I've been training with Colton, and he's been a big part of my growth in the sport. So yeah, and it's gonna be fun that we're fighting on the same card back to back. And we've been it's this camp has been pretty cool because we're both in here fighting for the same goal, just with different opponents. But yeah, it's badass.
And actually, I think that Colton should be in the UFC like since like maybe two years or something like this because he fought in the Contender Series. He had a great like record, and of course like level of his skills is kind of crazy. So I think that it's just a matter of time when he get like at least a shot in the Contender Series, maybe even go straight to the UFC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's right there on the doorstep for it, and so it's nice being able to have him as a training partner because it definitely shows me, of course, where I'm at, but also we get to push each other. There's that quote in the Bible when it says, "Iron sharpens iron," and that's exactly what we got. We got two extremely tough and up and coming fighters that are hungry for that UFC spot, and we both get to work together and push each other to reach that goal. So yeah, it's been badass.
And when you watch UFC fights, do you have like maybe one name, maybe few names of the fighters that you would like to challenge yourself against?
I don't necessarily have any names. I'm more just down and whoever they throw at me. It's especially once I get to the UFC, it's kind of just like, all right, let me test my metal, see where I'm at, and let me take the opportunities that are given to me. So I wouldn't necessarily call out any names, but if they're put in front of me, I'm ready for the challenge. Basically, anybody who's in there, I'm just ready to seize the opportunity. What I would say.
And especially in lightweight division right now, we probably will see some like change of the guard, let's say, because there is like Dustin Poirier who will retire probably soon. There is Justin Gaethje. So I think that in next 1 or 2 years, a lot of like younger fighters will go to the rankings and the level maybe even better than there is right now.
I agree. I do feel that we're like right on the cusp of like a new generation of fighters. Because like you said, these guys that have been fighting for a while, they're starting to get towards. I mean, I wouldn't even say the end of their career because they're all still very good and still capable of continuing. It's just that people got families and life, and I'm sure that some of these guys, like you said, Poirier, Justin Gaethje, they're gonna want to probably start, settling down and just living life rather than worrying about the fights. Um, so yeah, I think that here in the next probably 2 years, 3 years, we're gonna see a lot of new faces and new stars, and I plan to be one of them. So just yeah, just keep your eyes on me. I'm sure I'm gonna be like the next one, the next, not even Dustin or Justin. I'm gonna be the next me. You know what I mean? The next star on top. So yeah, I'm ready for that next generation.
And about the starts, I'm not sure if I'm correct, but did you have a chance to like train with Nick Diaz like a few years ago or like last year?
I did actually. Nick Diaz did stop by our gym, and he got a bunch of rolls. He stopped by our gym quite a few times, so I've gotten to know him a little bit. His jiu-jitsu is very sharp. We of course a little bit of movement back and forth on the feet, but whenever he came, it was our grappling days, so it was mostly a lot of jiu-jitsu that I got to do with him. And man, it was good. I learned a lot from him. Even though he didn't necessarily like teach, but like just in us rolling, I was able to take a lot from that. So yeah, I mean, and I've gotten to move around with quite a few people. We've had Kamaru Usman come in here before, like 2, 3 years ago, a while back. Jorge Masvidal's been in here, because uh, Mick Maynard is actually a part owner of our gym. So I've been blessed that we get those UFC fighters, and I get to have those looks coming into our gym. So yeah, yeah.
And right now, because like a lot of things are happening right now in the world of MMA, but do you have like maybe one fight that you really are waiting to see?
Like in the UFC, let's see who do I want to see? Oh, I'm sure this is everybody, but I definitely want to see John Jones and Tom Aspinall. That needs to happen. I got to see that one. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I can't wait to see Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. That one is an exciting fight that I just can't wait to see. I want to see how I want to see how Ilia's grappling holds up against Islam, and then I want to see how Islam's striking holds up against Ilia. So that's probably the most exciting one that I'm ready for.
Yes, yes, definitely. And actually, Ilya last year defeated like no, knocked out two of the best featherweights in the history of the sport. And to be honest, I thought that Max Holloway would not be like ever knocked out, and unfortunately, he was. But it shows how good Ilya is. Because of his boxing is kind of crazy, and of course his like grappling is also like undeniable. So against Islam, it probably would be the best fight that UFC can book right now.
Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be the most exciting one, just because it's kind of hard to. I mean, with both fighters, Islam and Ilya, they're both extremely well-rounded and dangerous everywhere. So that's a hard one to kind of put your money on either way. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
And outside of fighting, when you are not like coaching or training, do you have like any hobbies or like additional passions except MMA?
Um, to be honest with you, I pretty much love doing this. I would say like I like to, I guess, shoot. I like going to shoot. I like really just hanging out with my family, doing anything with my family or friends. It really doesn't matter what. I like to travel. But I would say probably shooting, traveling, and then just being with my friends and family. Those are probably, and the most important is my friends and family. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I've pretty much built my life around my goal. You know what I mean? But yeah, of course you got to have those things to get your mind off of the work. So I would say that the biggest thing is my friends and family, and then just being able to do whatever it is that they want to do with them. Usually is what I do for my off time.
And about going to the UFC, because you said that may be contender series this year, but when do you see yourself being ranked in the UFC?
Ranked. I think that, I mean, of course, it all depends on God and what the opportunities that He gives me. But I think that it can be soon. Depends on who I'm given. If, of course, my first fight, I'm probably going to be given, someone on lower on the rankings. But depending on how I do against them, I think that within the next, but then once I get to UFC, within 4 or 5 fights, I think that I can become a ranked fighter. So hopefully, in the next 2 years, 2.5 years, probably, I guess, I'd become like a ranked fighter in the UFC is my goal. I'm trying to climb the ranks fast and get to where I need to be. Just because I think right now this is my time, so I'm gonna take my opportunity while I have it.
Okay, Lester. So many thanks for the conversation. I think that this fight will be the really good one because I think that the opponent is a really solid fighter. But of course, I also think that your like time in the like getting to the UFC will be in the probably it will happen really soon. Let's say.
Yes, sir. I agree. I mean, people say that this is gonna be my toughest opponent, or this and that been my biggest challenge, but who they say that about everybody. They say that about everybody. So um, it is what it is. I think I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go win. I'm gonna make a statement and get my shot. So regardless, for me, it doesn't matter what people tell me. I know what I know, and I know who I am, and I'm sure that I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Okay. So once again, thank you for the time.
Oh yes, sir. Thank you, man. This was a great conversation, great questions. Appreciate it. That was awesome.